Hello, love. Welcome to the Sacred Purpose Podcast, a place where we illuminate your innate wisdom and help you embody your soul's calling. I'm your host, Lisa Malia, midwife, breast cancer survivor, and mama of 3, turned nonprofit CEO and embodiment coach. We're each on a unique path to live our sacred purpose, but we don't need to walk it alone. Through the power of connection, feminine wisdom, and embodied leadership, we can elevate our lives, communities, and businesses. Each week, I'll bring you transformative stories, practices, and rituals to support you in trusting and following your intuition, creating space to live a life of sacred purpose with deeper clarity and unapologetic joy. As we reimagine and envision a new way forward. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Coming in today with an energy upgrade for you. Doesn't that sound good? Listen, these are going to be episodes that I do once a week for you to help you upgrade your energy on a spiritual, on an energetic, aligned level so that you can be your strongest, healthiest, juiciest version of yourself. Vitality, focus, wellness, personal and spiritual connection, and clarity. So each week I'll be popping in. These will be quick 10-minute episodes to just let you check in with yourself, give you some insight, give you a little energy boost, reset your alignment, ground your intentions, and move forward in your most vitality-filled, abundant energy for the week ahead. Doesn't that sound good? So no matter where you're at, you can really harness your energy, regardless of what's happening in the world around you, what's happening to you, whether you're in, what feels like a really good and energetic space, or whether you feel like you're in a very heavy energy, depending on what you're moving through. So we're not always going to be in this high vibe energy. And sometimes we want to be, but knowing that it's also okay to recognize and actually lean into some of these times when we may not, but still be able to focus our intentions. In fact, in those moments, it's actually really important to focus your intentions, whether you have super high energy where you feel like, oh, I can do all the things, or kind of in a place where you're feeling grief or sorrow, or there's, just some heaviness going on in your life, but you still have some things that you want to work towards and accomplish, and how to do that where you can really focus and harness the energy that you do have. And then when you're in a really highly motivated place where you do have a lot of energy, so that you're not expending it and putting it in places that aren't actually the most productive for you, to help you really harness and focus that energy so that you're not spreading yourself too thin when you do have it. So this week, what we have coming up is the full flower moon in Sagittarius. We have some fire energy coming our way. And so it can be really tempting to, just run with that fire energy and just burn it all down or burn it all out, or just, spread ourselves too thin with all that energy and that excitement. So I want to come to you first with an analogy for the spring. I don't know if you have fruit trees in your garden or you've ever worked on fruit trees, but this time of year, what do we have but our fruit trees starting to show seeds? And what happens on most fruit trees is that they will bear a lot of seeds of what looks like it's going to be a very fruitful year. All these things on the branches, a lot of seedlings in it. And you have to really take some time to thin out these seedlings, because otherwise, as they grow, they become too heavy and they become a burden for the branch, and the branch can actually break. What can happen when you have these clusters of seedlings is that they can spread disease or insect infestations and make it very unhealthy. And then you'll end up with a lot of very sick fruit or a lot of rotten fruit. And so what you need to do is go through and actually thin out some of these seedlings. And when you do that, you make space. You make space for the most abundant, healthiest, juiciest fruit to come forward, to grow, to have the space to grow and to be stronger, to be healthier, to be juicier, to be more abundant, right? Um, and if you don't do that, you still might, maybe the branch won't break, maybe you won't have any sort of disease or infestation, but the fruit even still won't be its healthiest, strongest, biggest version of itself because the tree only has so many resources to go around. So you may just get a lot of really immature fruit. So you see where I'm going with this. We have the ability right now to use that energy, to use that wisdom of abundance that the earth has given us, that in this springtime, when we all feel really excited, right? The sun usually does that. I'm in the US in the northern hemisphere, so it's for spring leaning into summer, and it feels like, we're just also ready for some good warm weather and to go out there and just be shining in our brightest, most brilliant way, and to do it in a mindful way. So my invitation to you is what needs thinning out, right? So that this goes beyond your to-do list, because it can feel really good when you've got a nice long to-do list. I'm Capricorn. I love a to-do list and I love to check things off my list. But that might not necessarily be taking me where I want to go. So I've got to get really mindful of, am I just going through this checklist like because I can and I can feel super accomplished doing it, going through and keeping myself busy, thinking I'm being very successful and busy and successful doing all these things, but not actually things that are taking me closer to my big vision. Um, so what are the things where you can sort of pull off the fruit that's not actually feeding the bigger vision, that's not actually going to mature, that's not actually going to let you be your most resourceful, healthiest, strongest, juiciest version of you, that's leading you to that bigger vision? The things that might not have that immediate reward, that immediate dopamine hit of being able to check it off the list, but the things that are going to feel really fulfilling, the things that are just a little bit more long term, the things that are taking you where you want to go and actually build excitement when you do them, that lead towards that bigger vision. So just take a few minutes to kind of think about how you're spending your energy. Are they feeding the bigger vision? What is the payoff? Like, are you just going for the quick wins, which those aren't always bad. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying start to look at the ones that are taking you towards that long term. It's going to help you build strength, help you be strong, and be your healthiest, most vibrant self as we go into this full flower moon, this Sagittarius energy, so that you can actually be, what comes with this energy of this fiery Sagittarius full moon can be a little bit like, we want to be more brave. We want to be a little bit more daring. We want to be open. We want to have new perspectives. And we want to be able to open ourselves up to that so that we can feed and nourish and have the resources that are going to take us to our bigger goals, our bigger vision. So I want you to think about that as we're leaning into this full moon. If you have my intention planner, you know that there's a place every week to revisit some of these questions, to really harness your energy. And I will leave a link to that in the show notes here. And these are the energy upgrades, the weekly energy upgrades, to look at what your priorities are and what's on your calendar. Make sure those priorities are a match for the calendar. Lean into the energy that we have in the world around us, the lessons from the seasons and the lessons from the moon that are present, because it's really going to propel your intentions and your energy to help move you forward. For me, over the last few weeks, if you've been following me on Instagram, you know that I've been getting iron infusions, and that's because I found out that I am extremely anemic. I have battled anemia most of my life, but only a couple times has it ever dipped this low, and I was feeling it. I was absolutely feeling it, and I knew I needed to get checked out, but things being what they were, it took me a while to go and get that blood test done. And it turned out I was even more anemic than I thought. But anemia is something that will just put a cap on your energy level. Like you have very, very little energy to go around throughout the day, if any at all. And so I was getting a big lesson in this over the last few months of what is really important to me, what is really going to take me towards that bigger vision. If I've only got so much energy to use, what can be the one thing I do that takes me a little bit closer to that? And, I'll be honest, there were times when I was getting a little frustrated with myself, like, why can't I power through this? What's wrong with me? I'm trying to do this thing and it feels like it's taking forever. And then now I look back on it and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, now that I have like the evidence or the proof, which, we have to remind ourselves sometimes we're not always going to get that proof. But now looking back on it, thinking and knowing how anemic I was, and yet I was still able to do all these things that set my future self up for success still. I am amazed that I did what I did with the energy that I had because I was so mindful about how I was using it. And that shift in perspective has been such a relief, first of all, but also just kind of mind blowing of like, gosh, I wish I hadn't have been so hard on myself now because look at what I've done and how I've set myself up and where we still are because I was so mindful about how I used my energy. And now using that again as an energy worker and as a leadership coach and somebody who's running a business and wants to be able to have these things move forward, even when I have all this energy, right, of this spring, Sagittarius, fire, full moon, I've got iron pumping through me now, um, wanting to still be just as mindful so that I am doing the things that actually truly matter to me, that match my values, that match my vision, that match the goals that I have for me personally, for my business, for the people I serve, for my family. If there's just one thing that I can do in any of those areas that's going to really move me towards where I want to go. So again, this beautiful full moon that we have this week, getting out of your comfort zone, leaning into your bigger vision, being a little bit brave, thinking about some of those things that are going to bring you that long-term joy, satisfaction, happiness, um, and feeds and nourishes that bigger vision. So I want you to take that forward. I'm so excited to have you here. If you haven't already shared this episode with somebody, please do. If you haven't shared the podcast with somebody, please do. I would so appreciate it if you could leave a review. It's what helps me reach more people and grow this community. I'm so happy to have you be part of it. And I would just love to bring more incredible, awesome women to it. If you have a moment, go check the show notes to this episode. That is where you can find a free copy to my book. If you haven't gotten it yet, it's the Leadership Expansion book, and it walks you through a whole process of how to build your vision in a really beautiful and aligned way. And I revisit this work anytime I am resetting or I want more clarity or I'm building something new, creating something new, or I'm not quite sure if what I'm doing, if I'm right on track. It really helps me reset and realign and go through the entire process from start to finish at 6 steps to really expand your leadership and expand your impact and expand your energy. I think you're going to love it. I've got 6 episodes on YouTube that pair with each chapter of the book as you work through it. So it really expands the insight and the energy and just gives you a little bit more context to work with. So those two are meant to work together. Also, I'll leave a link in the show notes. We have a collective monthly membership. I would love for you to join monthly workshops, quarterly energy planning sessions alongside with the intention planner, and so much more. Breath work, connection. I'll leave a link to that in the show notes. I'd love for you to take a look at that and see if you can join in that membership. You can cancel anytime. I want this to be easy. Come in, check it out. You don't like it, we'll let you go. No questions asked, but I really hope you stick around because we're building something really cool and incredible that's actually never been done. And if you want to join this work and even go deeper, we are building a mastermind that's going to be officially open in June, but I would love to connect with you one-on-one. I will set up a link to the application to that, and we can then schedule a call and see if this is the best fit for you. I would love to have you. I'm Lisa Malia. I hope you have an incredible day. I hope you love these energy upgrades that I will be coming into you with every week. They will vary different, a little bit different each time, whether it's a wellness topic, an energy topic, spiritual, personal, just anything that's going to help fill your cup as you go throughout the week. So stay tuned every week, little energy upgrade, and I hope you find it nourishing and fulfilling and helpful to connect in this way. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have an incredible rest of your week.